Good morning. I'm just trying this again. I think my Wi-Fi is not feeling very well this morning, and it kicked me off doing the live. So hopefully it will hold up this time. But I was saying that it's not a particularly nice morning here in Edinburgh. It's been raining a bit, so yeah, hopefully it will clear. Which would be nice. My kids have started doing their PE lessons outside, so I have a feeling there's going to be less PE going on as the weather starts to get worse towards winter. But we'll see. I'm not sure if they're going to end up doing their PE lesson in one of these head to toe big cagoule things, that toddlers wear. Might be a bit sweaty. So I'm not sure if this is actually... Oh, there's a couple of people joined. Okay. I wasn't quite sure just because I got thrown off before because my internet was being weird. Good morning. Anyway, I've got my cup of coffee and I haven't baked this week. I decided I would go into the bakery on my way back from dropping my kids at school. So I have got myself... I wanted a scone. I went in looking for a scone, but they weren't ready yet. So I got myself a chocolate and raspberry brownie, which is absolutely massive. Like, that is one portion. So I've cut it in two. I mean, I probably will eat the whole thing, but I just feel it's a bit more delicate if it's cut in two. It's very chocolatey. Good morning. So if you haven't seen these little videos before, I'm here on Instagram Live at 10 o'clock every Thursday morning, and before lockdown I was running a Wednesday evening knit night, which I would always bake for, and then there would be some leftover cake, and on a Thursday morning I would have some of the leftover cake for my breakfast, just as a wee motivator to get me to the weekend. I know people talk about Wednesday being a hump day, but I just feel like Thursday is the hump day because it's nearly the weekend, but it's not quite. So having a bit of cake for my breakfast just helps me to get to Friday. So that's the reason why these little videos are called Knits and Cake for Breakfast. And I should just say that I do them live and then I have the recording up on my grid later on and on YouTube and on Facebook, and I put subtitles in them, and when I do the auto subtitler, it quite often makes some quite funny mistakes with what I've said, and I always post them on my stories, so look out for them a bit later this morning because they're quite funny. And I start to doubt myself, did I actually say that rude thing or not? And I haven't, but it's really funny what the auto subtitler thinks I've said. Hi little loops, oh, you agree Thursdays are hard? Yeah, and also I think I find Tuesdays quite tricky as well, but Wednesdays not so much. People call it a hump day, don't they? But not for me. Anyway, I'm going to move this cake out of the way before I knock it off the sofa. I'm kind of at a different angle today, so I'm kind of hanging over the back of the sofa. I'm not sure if that's going to work out too well, but we'll see. So I wanted to show you what I've been working on. So I've been trying to work on this new sample of my Lonin shawl pattern, which is I have kits for this in my shop on Folksy. So you're holding, I've nearly finished this ball, a strand of lace weight yarn. This is Jamieson and Smith 2-ply lace weight with a strand of mohair silk. And actually it's knitting up quite quickly. I think this is the 6th repeat of the pattern. So I feel like I'm making good progress. Like I have to do 10 repeats of the pattern, But I think when you start knitting a shawl, you get this like false sense of momentum because you don't have so many stitches. It's quite quick to do one repeat, but then as it gets bigger, it takes longer. So although I am strictly speaking over halfway with the repeats, I know that the next bit is going to take me much longer. But it's really fluffy. Can you see that? It's going to be so cozy. And it's nice to be knitting it just now because the inspiration about this is very autumnal, and it's about walking basically down to school with my kids, and there's an apple tree in somebody's garden that overhangs the wall, and the apples fall off this tree onto the pavement, and sometimes they roll into the gutter and they roll down the hill. And if it rains very heavily, there's like a little river in the gutter, and the apples are like bobbing along on this gutter. And sometimes my kids like to kick the apples down help them on their way down to the bottom. And if they get down to the gutter at the bottom of the hill, that's like, you know, the best thing ever. So the shawl is like a kind of representation of this journey, this walk that we go on, and you know, there's little apples and things. So it's quite nice to be knitting at the moment because there are apples falling into this gutter right now. Although we haven't had a lot of rain recently, so there's not been very much of the floating apples going down the hill, but there's time yet. So the other thing I wanted to talk about today is my Coraline sweater, which is coming out tomorrow. And this is my sample here that I'm wearing, but I posted a picture on my grid yesterday to do with different sizes of garments and about how much ease they have and whether they still fit you or not. So this one is a size 3, which has about 6 or 7 inches of ease. So the ease, if you don't know about ease is to do with the difference between your body measurement and the measurement of the garment. So if the garment is bigger than your actual body measurement, that's called positive ease. And if the garment is smaller, that's called negative ease. So this jumper is designed to have some positive ease, but because it has got quite a lot of positive ease, it means that there's a range of different sizes that could fit you. So this is the size 3, which, as I say, is fitting me with about 6 or 7 inches of positive ease. And this one, the turquoise one, is the one that I did when this pattern was originally in Knit Now magazine. That has, it's a size 2, so it's the size down from this. And I can still wear this, it still fits me, but it's only got about 1.5 inches of positive ease, so it's quite snug, and the sleeves are fairly snug as well, because you know, you want to, when you're choosing a size, you want to think about not just your bust or chest measurement, you want to think about the other measurements in the jumper and check that they're going to fit you if you are choosing a size that's maybe out with the intended ease that's suggested by the designer in the pattern. So if you haven't seen that post, go over to my grid and have a look, because it is quite interesting to see that the different sizes will fit. And actually, when I started knitting this sample, it was fairly near the beginning of lockdown, and you know, my body has changed in that time, and so now if I was going to knit myself a sample, I would probably do the size 4, but I quite like the fit of this size 3. So sometimes you have to look at the measurements and decide which size to make, based on something that you like wearing already. If you have a jumper in your wardrobe that you like the fit of, measure that and check it against the schematic of the pattern to work out what size to make. Now, the other thing about this jumper that you need to choose, if you're choosing yarn, you need to choose a yarn that's got some drape to it. And that's so that it will hang nicely. So these two are both knitted in Rowan Moordale yarn, which has got is 70% wool and 30% alpaca. So the alpaca just makes it hang really nicely. It's quite fluid. And I'll show you this. So I started knitting myself a Coraline ages ago in quite a woolly yarn. Okay, and I got gauge, and this is a size 3, but I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see. Can you see how kind of stiff it is? Like it's just not hanging quite right. It doesn't have very much drape. Well, now it could be that if I knitted it at a slightly bigger gauge and it was a bit looser, it would hang nicely. But then I would have to probably knit a different size. And because I was knitting a sample for the pattern, I didn't really want to mess about with that. I needed to knit something that was to the same gauge that I was going to say in the pattern. So this has been kind of abandoned. I've got the sleeves off here on scrap yarn, and I've done the body, but I'm pretty sure I'm just going to rip it out because it's just doesn't hang properly, or as I want it to. It's too stiff. I might try blocking it again. I have blocked it a couple of times to try, but I might do that one last time and see if that makes a difference, and then decide whether to rip it back or not. So if you're planning to knit a Coraline and you're choosing yarn, the main thing is to make sure that you choose something with some drape to it. So either something with alpaca, or perhaps something with silk. Or the other thing, a couple of my preview knitters have knitted it with a yarn with some long wool content in it, so maybe some Wensleydale or some is it Teesdale? Yeah, Teesdale, or perhaps even a bit of mohair, just something that will give it a nice drape, so you don't end up with a really stiff jumper. So if I do end up ripping that out, I might make a little video of that, because I think videos where things are ripped out are always very entertaining. Anyway, I'm going to write a blog post with all that stuff in it, that'll be over on the website. And I know last week I was talking about making a dipped hem, so I don't know if you'll be able to see this. This is a prototype for a jumper that I've been designing, but it's got a dipped hem on the back, so you can see the back hangs a bit lower, and I was talking about that last week. So that I wrote that blog post up, so that's over on the website, if you want to have a read, and it gives you instructions about how to do that on any jumper. It would have to be a jumper knitted in the round, but you could do it for a top down or a bottom up. You'd have to do bottom up slightly differently, but the instructions are there. So it's maddieharveydesigns.com if you were interested in having a wee read, and there'll be a blog post about ease and about choosing yarn for your Coraline sweater very soon. And I think that's all that I wanted to talk about. So I will let you get on with your Thursday. If you've just joined, I'll put the replay up on my grid later, and look out for those subtitle outtakes. The auto subtitler sometimes takes me by surprise in what it thinks I've said, and I usually post those up outtakes on my stories. So look out for those later, and I will see you next Thursday at 10 o'clock. Have a good day. Bye.